And if people really want me to stop calling them pieces of shit, then they should stop acting like pieces of shit. You know? So anyways, there's this article here, and with the criticisms people put on me, right? Oh, what are you, just a troll? Because I have thoughts, and I, you know, as soon as, I don't know how your mind works, but as soon as I have one thought, there's a thought that just comes right around the corner. It's stream of conscious. It's non-stop. So Marianne Goodland, she writes this article. It's got like 10 pages, right? There's one thought after another thought after another thought. What a troll. What a troll, right? Are we... No, it's not being a troll. It's not being a hater. It's just, here's your, you know, here's some information. And so right now, what am I talking about? This is Donald Valdez versus Scott Honeycutt. Both Donald Valdez and Scott Honeycutt have asterisks by their names. And ultimately, because they both have asterisks by their names, it's going to come down to who wins the election. The way it breaks down in House District 62, it's a solid Democrat district. There's 20,000 active Democratic voters, 13,000 unaffiliated, and 12,000 Republican. So they said active voters, so I don't know where they're getting these active numbers, but these are the ones, I guess, that had voted in previous elections. So these numbers are amazing. There's more independents. There are more unaffiliated independents, non-Democrat, non-Republicans in the San Luis Valley, in House District number 62, which is 7 counties and a little bit of Pueblo. So Huerfano, Mineral, Rio Grande, Castillo, Conejos, Alamosa, not Archeletas, but Saguache, and I think that's everything. So 13,000. There's 1,000 more independents. So actually, with Scott Honeycutt running as a Republican, he is taxed. Scott Honeycutt has to get all his Republicans, and then he's got to get 8,000 more to beat the 20,000 Democratic voters, assuming that all 20,000 Democrats will vote for the Democrats, which they don't do. All the Republicans will get out there and vote for the Republicans, but Democrats, they'll peel the Democrats off, and then they got to win those independents. Now, for Scott Honeycutt to win, he has to get the independents. He must get the independents. He can't do it without them. There's 13,000 of them. If they go one way, then the Democrat wins. If they go the other way, the Republican wins. So the Republican actually, like I said, there's more independents. So an independent would have a better chance of winning if they could, you know, win over the Republicans. So a conservative independent could beat the Democrat that's in office. But the Democrats, it seems like Democratic Party has a solid district in House District 62. So this is just Donald Valdez's race to lose. Donald Valdez's race to lose. So what are these asterisks? What are these asterisks over their names? So let's start out first with Donald Valdez. So Donald Valdez, there's an article that came out that says that he listed his address as being in Pueblo West on his marriage document. He goes and gets married. Where do you live? He lives with his wife. Of course he would live with his wife. Now, this is going to get a little bit vulgar, but this is only just to kind of explain my position. So you have one house in La Jara, which is only, you know, about 15 minutes away, and I've asked to meet him. I asked to say hi to him. He's never around to say hi, so if he's in La Jara, then he's just being a stuck-up asshole. Can't even come to Subway and have a lunch with me. Can't do nothing, right? Don't even answer my questions on Facebook. Very poor political person. If people are asking questions, you know, you could be insecure and be like, oh my God, this person's intelligent, they could take my job. Or you could say, they're intelligent, I should get them on my team. LBJ said he would rather have people pissing out of the tent instead of into the tent. So that's how you bring everybody into the tent. So my question, the vulgar part, okay, just tell me who, you know, what makes more sense. You're living with your parents, right? And why don't he have his own house? He's a representative and he doesn't have his own house. But, okay, he's staying with his parents. He gets married. He's in Pueblo West. He lists his address as being in Pueblo West. Is he, you know, going to be up that pussy? Is he going to be up inside that vagina? I think he would live up inside that vagina. That's his wife. I would expect him to. Wherever, you know, she is at, he's going to be there. So I would expect him to live with his wife. I would expect him to most likely live in Pueblo West. Most likely, Donald Valdez lives in Pueblo West because his wife lives in Pueblo West. She's also got a bunch of money. So he's got a big, rich woman, you know, big, rich mansion, a big, rich house, living in a nice area, not in the poor area. It's got lots of businesses, lots of doctors, lots of, you know, things going on in Pueblo West. Or is he going to drive here in the middle of nowhere to hang out with his parents? So the fact that there's even any doubt, in my mind, and, you know, I read, you know, I've been paying attention to this and that. It didn't seem like it was that big of a deal to begin with, because I was like, oh, he lives where he says he lives, you know, oh, you think it's a big deal. Well, it was a big deal. It was a big enough deal to go ahead and throw Scott Honeycutt onto the ballot, even though Scott Honeycutt's paperwork wasn't 100%, and I'll get to that in a second. So Donald Valdez, when the whole Pueblo West controversy came up, he could have put that baby to bed. He could have put that baby to bed immediately. I don't know where he's getting the money from, or if it's just the Democratic Party, but he's got advertisements, and he's got, you know, I'm seeing his name all over the internet, so he's putting money out there. And I don't know where he's getting the money, but he could have put this baby to bed. If somebody says, hey, you don't live in Colorado, you live in Tennessee, I would say, oh, you don't think I live in Colorado? I would drive around look at the mountains, look at this thing, look at this store, here's where I fell off my bike, here's the old, you know, shop that fixed my first car when I first got, these are my memories, this is where I live, this is my hometown, this is my home, hi, home, here's my room, here's this. He could have put that baby to bed immediately as soon as that thing came out. So there's no doubt. There's no doubt where you live. Do you live in Colorado, Donald Valdez, or you live in Tennessee? You live in Pueblo West? That's not Pueblo. He didn't even represent hardly any of Pueblo. He represents the southeast part of Pueblo City. Pueblo West is a whole nother city, about 30, 40 minutes west of Pueblo City. So he's not even living in his district, or he hadn't been. He'd been married to his woman. He's going to live in that vagina. He lives up in that vagina. That's where he lives. So unless he is divorcing her, or unless, you know, again, I'm trying to give people the benefit of the doubt, but you prepare for the worst and you hope for the best. So he could have put this baby to bed. He could have put the baby to bed. He could have made a big deal about where he lives. This is where I live. Get the newspaper. Get people to take pictures. Get neighbors to vouch for him. Get affidavits signed. There is no question on where I live. Do you live in the San Luis Valley District? Do you live in, you know, Conejos County? Or don't you? Do you live here or don't you? So when Scott Honeycutt goes around saying he's a resident of the San Luis Valley, that's going to resonate with some people, because if you're just hurrying up to get rich, to get the fuck on up out of here, well, that's not the kind of leader we need. We need a leader that helps everybody get the fuck up on out of here, or move on up and make this place a better place. Why we got to move any place? Why can't we just turn this place where we're at into a better place? So that's the asterisk for Donald Valdez. Does he even live in the damn district? He says that he does. I'm prone to believe him. But he could have, you know, just doubled down on this and made it very crystal clear. This is where I live. This is where I work. This is where I sleep. Here's where I take a crap. Here's my Wheaties. Here's my favorite bowl. Here's my fork. You know, here's my vehicle. Here's my job site. This is what I do. Very easily. So that's his asterisk. Does he even live in the district? Now, Scott Honeycutt, he's got a big asterisk by his name, too. So I found it interesting that Ross Buchanan, there's this Denver District Court judge, so the trial judge, the lowest judge out here, right? Not appeals, not a Supreme Court judge, a district court judge in Denver. And they ordered Secretary of State Wayne Williams to put Republican Scott Honeycutt's name on the general election ballot for House District 62. So that's nice for the Republicans and Scott Honeycutt. They got a judge in their pocket that could just order the Secretary of State to put the name on the ballot, even when they didn't even do their paperwork correctly. So the way that Scott Honeycutt was able to get past his asterisk was because, well, does Donald Valdez even live in the district? So they say, well, you're going to have somebody, right? You're going to have some opposition. The snafu, the shit that Scott Honeycutt and them went through is this, okay? So they had to file something by May 5th. They filed something April 19th, but there was 2 people that had been chosen, and then the other candidate withdrew his name May 8th. So there was 2 names that was supposed to be the Republican nominee at the Republican fucking caucus or what the fuck ever. but they didn't do their paperwork right. They blamed the paperwork on David Broyles, some guy, the chairman of the Republican Party for the House District 62, wrote that Republicans don't give a shit about poor people. He posted that on his Facebook. That was somehow a big controversy. Then they fired him, so that way we can always say for the rest of our lives, David Broyles got fired for just saying the words. Yeah, a bunch of free speech advocates. Republicans so love free speech. Just for saying that Republicans don't give a shit about poor people. And they don't give it. They hate the poor people. They actively hate the poor people. They give a fuck about themselves, and they got businesses, and you got to be able to make money, so you only give a shit about the people who's got money. Poor people don't have money. What the fuck can they do for you? They're just going to, take up space and not give you money. So this is what the Republicans see, and I felt it. I have felt the hatred of the Republicans hating poor people. And so people, it's the difference between day and night how people treat you. People want to treat you like fucking dog shit if they think you're fucking poor. Oh, man, if you're poor, I'm going to have to do this and I'm going to have to do that. If you're rich, then, I'll just take care of it and then I'll go on my way. So they do hate the fucking poor. Republicans do hate the poor. And how is that going to stop you from filing the right paperwork on time? Because you need to fire him because of something you posted on Facebook? Why can't we have a fucking conversation? And Republicans, quit hating the goddamn fucking poor. You do hate the poor. You hate them. You don't have a comprehensive plan to stop poverty because you don't give a fuck. You don't give a fuck about people. You're not a Christian. You're not a good person. You don't give a shit about anybody. That's why your leadership has ignored poverty, the death sentence of poverty, for decades. So Ross Buchanan is a judge that's in his pocket, the Republicans and Scott Honeycutt, and that's essentially the whole deal, okay? That's the whole deal. Scott Honeycutt didn't file his paperwork on time. It said that he filed his candidate affidavit with the Secretary of State on April 19th, but there was another nominee. So if there's two nominees, you can't just choose one and put them on the ballot. The party has to figure out which one it was, and then they need to put it. And then why did the other guy have his name up there? He withdrew his name on May 8th, but before then, his name was on there. So there was two names from the Republican Party, but neither one of them was going to get on it. So what the fuck is going on here? It just seems like there's a bunch of mix-ups. They're going to point to one law, Section 1-46045. So one little line, one little sentence. Colorado has the longest constitution in all of America, and then it has a big, code, and then there's local code, and then there's American code. So Section 1-46045, 1-4-604, parentheses 5, CRS. So it says, late filing of a certificate of designation shall not deprive candidates of their candidacy. So the filing of a certificate of designation shall not deprive candidates of their candidacy. Which means what? What the hell is they say? Whatever. They're going to point to one little sentence, and that's both have asterisks by their names. Both have crappy cases for themselves. So I think ultimately what's going to happen is whoever gets elected is just going to keep the seat. Whoever gets elected, we're going to let the people decide. Yep, Scott Honeycutt, he may have turned his paperwork in late. Yeah, Donald Valdez might not even live in the damn district, but who do you want to represent you? Conejos County, San Luis Valley. So, the Donald Valdez, I'm voting for Donald Valdez. I've listed all the reasons that I voted for Donald Valdez right here. It all came from one sentence from the Alamosa Forum. He said that he cares about health care, and actually when I read his little flyers, his flyers make him sound much better than, what he says. He says affordable health care, accessible health care. He doesn't say universal health care. You want to know a district that needs universal health care more than everybody else's? It's the San Luis Valley, the poorest fucking district in goddamn Colorado. Lots of poor people, lots of health problems, no fucking health care. We need universal fucking health care. We need a war on poverty. We need somebody addressing these major systemic institutional issues. And they need to attack them head on without, with all the courage in the world. Be fearless. Fight for the common folks. Fight for the poor people. Fight for universal health care. So it says, on his things that he cares about affordable health care, protection of water, quality education, support for veterans, economic development with industry and small business growth. And then, he's done this and he's done that. So he's got experience about doing this and doing that. But what the fuck is he actually doing? And this is another thing for both Scott Honeycutt and Donald Valdez. to make sure you got a bigger voice in Congress. When you get up there, I want you to run for leadership. You're only one person out of 65. Half of them are Republicans, half the Democrats. So what are you going to do? You're just going to obey the leadership of the Democratic Party, Donald Valdez, Scott Honeycutt? You're just going to obey the Republican leadership? Why don't you all become the Democrat and Republican leaderships? Why don't you become the Speaker of the House? Run for leadership positions, because the more powerful that you get in Denver, the more bacon and pork you could bring home back to the House District 62. Donald Valdez, he had actually pointed out that Proposition 109 or 110, there's 2 road propositions for 2018. And one of the road propositions has about 100 different road projects, or 50 or 20 or so. And none of them are in the San Luis Valley. None of them. And he said he was disappointed about that. But Donald Valdez, you got to fight, and you got to scratch, and you got to get your name out there, and you got to get these damn roads down here. We need roads. When Colorado starts paving roads all the way at the bottom of its border, all the way at the southern bottom of its border, then that means the state of Colorado gives a shit about every single citizen in all 4 squares, all 4 corners of this rectangle state that we live in. But if they're not going to build, roads for the southern border, well, then they're not doing shit. This is the poorest region, the poorest area. We need the fucking roads. There's no goddamn roads anywhere. And yet, Donald Valdez, our great progressive Democrat champion, he can't even bring roads here. He can't even bring roads here. If you can't even bring roads here, what's the chances are you going to bring, some big solar company or, Mountain Dew or Pepsi or fucking Walmart or developing, small businesses out of us? Can you turn us into a sofa, right? Sofa, and then have it municipally owned, so that way all the profits from the sofa goes to the county, and the people make money off of these business districts and the hotels. You know how much hotels make? So there was no road projects on Proposition 109, so I'm not going to vote for Proposition 109. But Donald Valdez should have got a project. He should have got some road projects. He's part of the majority party. He's the Democrat. The governor is a Democrat. So if he's just, fish, just a, rank and file Democrat going along with the flow, he's not going to win anything. He's got to get part of the leadership. He's got to kick up some dirt, kick up some dust. It's the squeaky wheel that gets the oil. So he's got to speak up. The closed mouth don't get fed. Both of them need to be part of leadership, because the more powerful they are in Denver, the better. The part of me wants to vote for Scott Honeycutt. I don't agree with a lot of things he says, but he is defending the Second Amendment, which is our freedoms and our Bill of Rights, and he's talking about freedom of speech. So, the fact that he is unabashedly, for these issues, that gives me some hope. He would be the Molotov cocktail for Denver. It's going to be Jared Polis and Diane Bush and Donald Valdez. So they're going to most likely win. But if Scott Honeycutt got in there, Scott Honeycutt would, stir the pot up. He would be an independent mind. He would be an independent person. And he would, push things. I would like to actually hear both of them write a column every month, or write a book. If you go up there and you find a bunch of corruption, tell us all about it. What the fuck is going on up there? So, he cares about affordable housing and education. He went ahead and passed a $30 million bill for rural schools. So, it seems like he probably would care. Donald Valdez would care more about poverty and health care than Scott Honeycutt, but he just runs away from it so goddamn much. It's almost like he's trying to, be a conservative Democrat instead of being, there's some things that you should be conservative on, some things you should be, Second Amendment might be the only thing I'm conservative on. And so what? The difference between me living in whatever, I don't have to defend myself. So the Donald Valdez, Scott Honeycutt should run for leadership. The last thing I'm going to mention is they're blowing an opportunity. I wanted a road from Antonito to San Luis. We have a nice square. Antonito has pot shops. San Luis has got pot shops. Fort Garland's got pot shops. So this connects the Commerce Square. Alamosa has no pot shops. So having a road from Antonito to San Luis is a great idea. He says, well, you got to get the commissioners on board and then the Bureau of Land Management. So that's okay. That just kind of says, here's the process. These are the people that you need to go to. That's what he could do. Both Scott Honeycutt and Donald Valdez, they're symbolic. So if they go up there, they're only one of 65 representatives. How much you know, dust and dirt can they really kick up. They'll just maybe hopefully put their names on, you know, maybe 3 or 4 major pieces of signature legislation, and then the rest of it they're just kind of, you know, just fucking around, farting, fiddly farting around up there. So just kind of, yeah, what the hell are you guys doing up there? We send you up to Denver and then you didn't even get us no damn roads, and what the fuck? So what I think Scott Honeycutt and Donald Valdez can do, both of them can make the position bigger, more prestigious by bringing everybody together. They can bring the people together, bring the Democrats, Republicans, Independents, bring everybody together. So it's here's the answers, here's how this works, here's this person, here's that person. Now let's see if we can work this shit out. Let's see if we can, you know, let's get it together. And don't be afraid of intelligent people. Yeah, I'm intelligent, I'm aware. So what? Who gives a shit? You want more intelligent people, more aware people. And you want a release valve too, a release safety valve in case something is going wrong. You want, you know, the canary in the coal mine to stop singing, right, if there's danger. So yeah, that's Donald Valdez and Scott Honeycutt. The issues that Scott Honeycutt, Donald Valdez will be better on the economic issues. If Scott Honeycutt did give a shit about the poor, if he did start talking about the working class people, then I probably would have voted for Scott Honeycutt. But Scott Honeycutt does too much of the right-wing bullshit. He's all about, he's talking about pro-birth. You know, he doesn't care about universal. Scott Honeycutt is pro-birth. So he's not talking about universal health care. Once that kid is born in America, then they're on their own. Who gives a shit if they got, you know, good education and health care and life? Who gives a shit, right? If they got water and they got heat and warmth. They don't give a shit. They don't care about the poor. And so that's a very important distinction. He's going to sit there and make some poor girl who got raped, you know, carry that baby to term. But meanwhile, once that baby is carried to term, he's not going to help that baby or that family to, you know, get a good job, to have health care, to have education, to have the things that they need. So he's pro-birth, not pro-life. If he was pro-life, he would be in favor of universal health care. Health care is life. Health care is life. And every country in the world gives a shit about the health and the education of their population, except for the United States of America. So it'd be good to, you know, if Donald Valdez was as courageous as Jared Polis is when it comes to universal health care. They're going to ride Jared Polis's coattails. And I don't even know if he was for universal health care, Jared Polis was, until I asked him what his thoughts were. If the national government fails, will Colorado pick up the slack? So, you know, there's only 5% not covered. So, and then the rest of the world. So it just seems like it's a moral issue. Just like poverty, it's a moral issue. And they both have asterisks by their names. And, yeah. So I'll probably end up running against both of them in 2 years.